Hey everybody, it's the Off the Mic Sports Network here. I'm going to do something a little bit different here on your Sunday. More wrestling content to come later, but I have to vent. You guys followed in October as the Cleveland Guardians made a run at the American League Championship Series. Remarkable run that ended in 5 games against the New York Yankees, and I was optimistic that this team could potentially contend for a potential chance to go to the World Series or make another deep run in the American League. Obviously, that's being ambitious considering ownership, and I will get to that in a second. But what transpired, and I'm doing this right after the Cleveland Guardians lose 7-2 to the Detroit Tigers. And you may be asking yourself, Mike, why are you pissed off about losing to the Detroit Tigers? They're one of the best teams in baseball. They're one of the best teams in the American League. They're fantastic. And I was like, and you faced Tarek Skubal, who had 10 strikeouts in this game. The Cleveland Guardians managed basically, I think they scored 4 runs in this series. And so let me actually look back at this. Yeah, they scored 3. I was being generous. 2-1 loss in game 1 on the 4th of July. 1-0 loss yesterday, 7-2 today. They lose 7-2. They were up 1-0 going into the 9th inning. Had surrendered 1 hit the entire game. Hit batsman, stolen base, and then a wild pitch that barely got past Bo Naylor. And it's tied 1-1 because of the ghost runner in extra innings. They had a base runner, then a hit, and then a 3-run home run, and then a 2-run home run. And the Detroit Tigers win 7-2. The Cleveland Guardians, back on my dad's birthday, hi, Dad, on June 25th, won 5-4 in 10 innings over the Toronto Blue Jays. Hi, Danny, one of my good friends who you guys know from this channel. Since that point, the Cleveland Guardians have now lost 10 in a row. I know a lot of attention in baseball has been focused on the New York Yankees and their struggles this season, but this is bad because here's why it's bad. The Guardians, since June 25th, 6-0 loss, 5-0 loss, 9-6 loss, 7-0 loss, 1-0 loss, 5-2, 5-4 loss, 2-1, 1-0, 7-2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the last 10 games that they have lost have been when they did not score a run. Half of the losses that they've had in the last 10 games they have not been able to get one runner across home plate. They got 2, and one of them was a gift because, hey, it was a ghost runner. You get a ghost runner in extra innings on second base, and it's easy to advance the guy over. And basically, with a couple of sacrifices, you could score a run in extra innings. I'm not the biggest proponent of it, but listen, I was, and I have a buddy of mine who I talked to, who's from San Antonio, Edgar. And we've been going back and forth about this, about how disappointing this season has been. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be worried. There's still time. The Tigers were not good at the end of last year, and they ultimately made a run to Game 5 of the ALDS against the Guardians last October, in that incredible Game 5 where Lane Thomas hit that grand slam. I think it was in the 5th inning, and I was ready to be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe they can make a surge. Guys, they've lost 10 in a row, and I just gave you the evidence right there that they've been shut out 5 of the last 10 games that they've lost. Like, this is unbelievable how atrocious this offense is. They've got a star prospect in Chase DeLauder up in AA, AAA. Fans have been clamoring for weeks to get this guy up. They still won't do it. Jose Ramirez is wasting the prime of his career. Stephen Kwan, wasting the prime of his career. The rest of this team is hot dog shit. And again, 1 hit they give up, and it takes a wild pitch to get past Bo Naylor, barely even got past him. And yet here we are. They go to extra innings. The Guardians are hopeless, and it's a 7-2 loss, 10 straight losses. I would fire sale this whole team because it's clear that the Dolans, the owners of this team, just do not give a flying fuck about competing because they traded Josh Naylor, one of their top RBI men, just traded him away. Luis Ortiz, one of the guys that they acquired, is now being investigated for gambling. So he may not come back this year. Shane Bieber, their star pitcher, who's coming off Tommy John, is due back. I don't even see the point at this point. Emmanuel Clase, you might be able to get some value for him. Offload him. You know, obviously, Stephen Kwan, at some point, you got to consider paying him. Jose Ramirez gave this team a gift because they could have very easily traded him after Francisco Lindor got traded. I think it was after the 2020 season. And he's now with the New York Mets. They didn't want to pay him. Jose Ramirez took a discount to stay here. And, you know, you would at least, like, you know, want to at least kind of have a generational player like him, want to build around him. And yet here, this organization is continually trotting out these shitty lineups. And I like Stephen Vogt. He had a great season last year. But this ain't working, man. Like, these matchup-based lineups where you go matchup for left, like Kyle Manzardo can't get in the everyday lineup every single day. There's no hitting whatsoever. The starting pitching has been fine. The bullpen is not what it was last year. But you've got to score some runs. And when you're getting shut out 5 of the last 10 games that you've lost, that's a problem. They could have easily swept this series with the Tigers. Because what was it? There was a 2-1 game, a 1-0 game, and then this was a 1-0 game in the 9th inning where they needed to just get one out, and they get a wild pitch, and then they give up 6 runs in the 10th inning. I don't talk baseball typically before the All-Star break, but I am just flabbergasted at how far this organization has fallen. But I can't say that I'm surprised because I give Jimmy Haslam a hard time. I do. I really do, because I think that guy has his priorities all over the place. But at least he invests in winning. I mean, yeah, the Deshaun Watson trade and contract was a debacle, but at least he showed that he was trying. Dan Gilbert, we gave him a hard time with all the LeBron shit. At least he's paying a huge luxury tax bill to try and keep this team together. The fuck have the Dolans done? The fuck is the Dolans done? For God's sake, 2016 happened and 2017 happened. And since 2017, where they got knocked out in 5 games, this team really has not been close to like the level of competition that they should be at, considering who they have on their roster. They gave up Francisco Lindor. They traded him away. And then, you know, last year was a gift. They had a new manager. Their pitching staff really was great, even though they didn't have Shane Bieber for most of the season. And the offense delivered at a level but you would think you'd want to capitalize on a season where, hey, you were literally 3 wins away from a World Series. Instead, they trade away Josh Naylor, who was one of their top RBI men. They trade away Andres Gimenez. Listen, you may not like Andres Gimenez. That guy was a great defensive player. The defense has kind of slipped without him there. So you trade him away. And yet nobody has been able to step up on this roster to get a hit outside of Jose Ramirez and Stephen Kwan. And the pitching staff is waiting for Shane Bieber to come back. Gavin Williams gave him 6 shutout innings, and they can't get a win. This is embarrassing. So I speak for, and if you're a Guardians fan who's subscribed to the channel or who likes the team, and listen, this is my channel. I want to vent about this team because this is a team when they were the Indians, one of my favorite teams growing up. I went through the days of Jim Thome, Kenny Lofton, Omar Vizquel, Travis Hafner, Grady Sizemore. I've been through it all, okay? And last year was a fun ride. For them not to capitalize on that momentum and just let this thing fester, because they were treading water for most of the season. They were at 40-38 on June 25th. Since then, 10 straight losses, 5 of them by way of shutout. You cannot honestly convince me that this team is serious about winning. Like this is a joke. This is rock bottom for this organization. So, and I've already seen reports from Bob Nightingale that they're going to look at Emmanuel Clase, Lane Thomas, who just got hurt. Like they should just try to offload as much as they can to bring in some prospects and start to think about the future. Because at some point, Chase DeLauder's got to come up to the has got to come up to the major league roster. At some point, Travis Bazzana, the number one pick from a couple years ago, has got to come up to the main roster. But by the time they get there, is Jose Ramirez going to have any more of these extraordinary seasons left? You're wasting a generational player. Like I haven't gotten very frustrated about baseball this early, before the All-Star break, which is coming up here relatively shortly. It's just, man, to have the best team in the American League, one of your rivals, come into your house, a team that you had won 3 of 4 earlier in the season, and the first 3 games of this series, you managed to score, 2, 3 runs? And then you scored 1 run the first 2 games of the series. And then you scored 2 today. And you could have won 1-0 against Tarek Skubal. Embarrassing. So I hope that they fire sale this, and I hope the Dolans are happy about saving all the money, being one of the ownership groups of teams in the major leagues when you had a team that literally was on the doorstep of going to the World Series last year. Trade away one of your top RBI men, just hoping and praying that things work out. And then management is just consistently just resisting trying to bring up young prospects to try and, bring some energy to this roster. I'm close to saying they should fire Stephen Vogt, and I like Stephen Vogt. There's no reason why this team should have lost 10 straight games and 5 by shutout. Embarrassing. Anyway, that's Guardian's thoughts here. I don't know if I'm going to talk about him the rest of the year, but that was just a gut punch of a loss. But it's par for the course. It's literally been the whole season for them, specifically the last week and a half. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.